The Fantastic Four, Issue 4. Now things are getting exciting. This came out on February 7th, 1962. The world's greatest comic magazine. And right there on the cover, you can see him yourself. The Submariner makes his return from the Golden Age. And he's in red trunks. So if you remember in the last issue, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, took off, doesn't want to be part of the team anymore. And they're all blaming Ben. As for you, Thing, it's your fault that he ran off. It's your fault that the Torch is hiding out from us, as well as the police and the army. But we're gonna find that boy, and that means you too, Thing. What's this? The Hulk is coming? Who is the Hulk? That's right, the Hulk. Issue number 1 will be released 3 weeks later on February 28th, 1962. The second soon-to-be superhero added to the new Marvel Age. So they take off in the Fantasticar in search of the Torch, and sadly they have to leave his section behind. Invisible Girl's invisible antics scare this young lad off. And not only can Mr. Fantastic stretch, but he clearly has super strength. In order to lift a human being in the air, one-handed with a reverse grip, 50 feet away from his own body, he must have the rear deltoid strength of a steel cable, and his feet must be anchored into the earth. Well, this is where Johnny's been hiding out, at Swanson's garage, where he works on hot rods. And here's an image I remember fondly from my youth. Remember, I had these small pocketbook reprints in the late 70s that my dad printed at work, and I just fell in love with these images. And like I mentioned before, I just love the coloring. But even though they all think the Thing hates Johnny, you know what? He's really the closest to them. That's probably why they have such a sibling rivalry. He's the only one that knows exactly where Johnny would be hiding out. And of course, he handles things the only way he knows how, through brute force. But let's take a break to look at the letters page. Dear editor, are you kidding? What kind of super characters are these? They're always fighting amongst themselves. They have the same jealousies and personality clashes as real people. Have you flipped your lids? Do you think comic mag readers are intelligent enough to appreciate all that good writing jazz? If you want my opinion, you're darn right. If that isn't a fake letter trying to drive home the point that they're making with this new Marvel Age, I don't know what is. Well, look at the name. S. Goldberg from Forest Hills, New York. That's Stan Goldberg. He's the artist on Marvel Comics' Millie the Model and Patsy Walker, and he was the unofficial colorist of all of these Marvel comics. But take a look here. Dear editor, in your second issue, in the Scrolls from Outer Space yarn, when Susan Storm holds the stolen gem and becomes invisible, the gem becomes invisible too. Explain that. Tell you what, let's make a contest out of it. We'll give $5 to the reader who sends in the best explanation. How's that for getting off the hook, pal? Excelsior! I think that is the first germ of an idea for the fabled No Prize. Because that's what you had to do to get a No Prize. You had to point out a mistake, but also come up with a valid explanation to show why it isn't really a mistake. Very cool. And here we go. See, I want to touch on something real quick. You see Johnny Storm? They never cast him right in any of the films. Have you ever seen the 1960s surfing documentary Endless Summer? It's about two surfers traveling around the world, and one of them's named Mike Hinson, who just died this year a couple months back in January. And that is the look of Johnny Storm. Not these people in the movies. But enough about that. Check it out. The Thing is turning back into handsome Ben Grimm. Oh, right back into the Thing. What is the Hulk? You've never seen anyone like the Hulk. So Johnny goes and hides down in the Bowery, where he finds an old comic book from the 1940s, The Submariner. He remembers his sister talking about him, but not as a comic book character, a real person. That's right, Marvel Comics exists in the world of Marvel Comics, and they make comic books about the real characters in the world. In fact, in a previous video, if you watched it, I showed you that comic where Steve Rogers gets his job at Marvel Comics drawing Captain America. So who do we have here? Looks like a very strong and powerful hobo. But Johnny keeps the angry mob back from beating the tar out of him. Instead, he's gonna burn his face off. Ba-ba-da-ba! It's Namor the Submariner! Whoa! Now this I absolutely love. I'm telling you, these illustrations that Jack Kirby starts all of his chapters off are so awesome! Look at this! I love this! Wow! Mister, that's fantastic! And check it out, isn't it fitting that the Human Torch is the one to find Namor? Since they were the first two Marvel characters way back in Marvel Comics #1 from 1939. I love it. And he throws the amnesiac hobo into the ocean because he knows it'll restore his memories and his strength and powers. What is the Hulk? And he swims off to go find his undersea kingdom. But oh no, it's destroyed. It's all destroyed. That glow in the water, it's radioactivity. Now I know what happened. The humans did it. Now, you see, I'm a nuclear medicine technologist. I handle radioactivity all day, every day. And you know what? It does not glow. But that's okay. This is a comic book. And Namor is swearing revenge on all of mankind in his red trunks. This, of course, is Namor the Submariner's first Silver Age appearance. He made his debut in 1939 and was in comics for 10 years, all the way till 1949. Then there was a 4-year gap where all the superheroes went away. And then because of George Reeves' television show, The Adventures of Superman, they decided to try to revive the superheroes. So from 1953 to 1955, we had a 2-year revival of Namor, the Human Torch, Captain America, and so on. But then they went away again. And they were gone for 7 years. Until now. Now he's back. And back to stay. And by the look of the staples, we're only halfway. That rhymes. And now we're off. Johnny throws up the signal. The rest of the team goes to find him. The team is reunited because he has to tell them of the menace of the Submariner. Meanwhile, Namor is swimming down to find Giganto and bring him to life with this cornucopia. I wonder if Ray Harryhausen was inspired by this panel when he had Poseidon underwater reviving the Kraken in Clash of the Titans 19 years later. So Giganto is a giant, monstrous whale with arms and legs. What was the name of that giant whale in Pinocchio? Monstro. I bet you Jack Kirby loved Pinocchio from Disney. Well, who didn't? One of my favorites. And look at how epic this story is. They are evacuating New York City. The monster is coming ashore to destroy the place like Godzilla. This is just a comic book. And look at all that's going on. Namor, Giganto, the Fantastic Four, look at this, the powers and stuff. The movies aren't even as great as just a comic book. You've never seen anyone like the Hulk. Could they possibly top the world's greatest comic magazine with the Hulk? I do love the Hulk. Boom! Right there. One of my absolute favorite comic panels from when I was a kid, looking through that pocketbook reprint. Now that I read it as an adult, it is kind of weird that between this panel and that panel, it just says, moving like a man possessed, the Thing races from one military depot to another until he finds a nuclear bomb. I don't think that can happen, but I don't care because, oh my God, this is so awesome. Look at that. You just don't get better than that. Why don't they put this in the movies? All right, enough about the movies. My God, I love this. Look at that. And you're just climbing through the rubble, the lone figure with the giant bomb. This can make the Thing your absolute favorite character of all time just because of this. Walking right into the mouth of Giganto. And a pinup page, this time for Reed. Chapter 5, look. Gosh, I love this. Walking right into the mouth. What? Got the flashlight. Stan Goldberg, I love the way you color these comics. And Jack Kirby's mind, look. the thing walking through the inside of Giganto. There's sunken ships all the way back to Viking ships. You've got monsters that were swallowed and are still alive. But the thing deposits the bomb, races his way out of there. It had a timer on it, and he just barely makes it out of the gills while it explodes and knocks him out. And his teammates have to carry him off to safety while he revives. You haven't beaten me yet. As long as I have this horn, I can summon countless other sea monsters to attack you. So it's the horn that does it. That's what I was waiting to hear. What? Yeah! Teamwork! Oh man, he catches her and instantly falls in love. They have had enough of him. He doesn't care. Boom! Knocks them all out. Who is the Hulk? You know, all of these Who is the Hulk stuff, it reminds me of the first Mortal Kombat game. I worked in the arcade at the time, and it had all of these little hints at the bottom of the screen or up in the sky. I forget what it was, but it said, "Who is Reptile?" And he was a hidden character in the game. And again, just like last issue, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, is the one that saves the day. He makes a fiery cyclone that sucks Namor and Giganto up into it and deposits them in the ocean, where he swims off to fight another day. Now granted, Johnny caused this problem to begin with, and then he cleaned up his own mess, but he didn't know he was causing it. He was just trying to help an old hobo. But Johnny is pretty awesome. Look at this. I love it. The floating heads. The end. Now check out these ads for all these things you can put on your bike. Okay, the bike machine gun is pretty cool. The Jolly Roger flag, I like it. The rear view mirror is a good idea, and the speedometer is pretty cool, but this giant windshield? You're just asking for a beating. And now we've got Mike Marvel and the Dynaflex method, and a knockoff Ready Kilowatt. And we end on artist Abe Vigoda. Out on the stands at the time was Kid Colt Outlaw issue 104, Linda Carter Student Nurse issue 5, Millie the Model issue 108, Strange Tales issue 96, and Tales of Suspense issue 29. Until next time.